If you can wake up every morning knowing that you're doing what you're called to do, it gives you this great enjoyment of purpose. Not just a sense of purpose, but a real enjoyment of purpose. So work has never worked for me. I fall in love with my clients. If I don't fall in love with you, I probably won't take you as a client.
Welcome to 20-Minute Leaders. Just sit back, relax, and learn from the leaders of today. It's a journey. Each one is different, unique, inspiring. Let's get started. 20-Minute Leaders is a proud supporter of Make-A-Wish Israel and Tech to Peace, and is in proud collaboration with Secret Chord Ventures, J Ventures, Riverside FM, Fusion VC, Birthright Excel, J Impact, Leap, Google for Startups, and Hippo, and in media partnership with CTech. Hello and welcome to 20-Minute Leaders. Today I am with Patrick Thean, the CEO of Rhythm Systems Inc. Patrick is an international speaker, CEO, coach, and serial entrepreneur. He is a USA Today and Wall Street Journal bestselling author. His work has been seen on NBC, CBS, and Fox. Patrick was named Ernst Young Entrepreneur of the Year in 1996 for North Carolina as he grew his first company to number 151 on the Inc. 500, now called the Inc. 5000. After a successful exit, he has been on a mission to help CEOs build great companies and achieve their dreams. I appreciate you being here all the way from North Carolina. Patrick, as a seasoned entrepreneur, managed to grow a fabulous company, which was ranked 151st on the Inc. 500 in 1996. It's the year I was born, and so quite a bit of mileage until then. But since then, positioning yourself as a coach, as a mentor, and as an ally to CEOs building great companies. And so as the CEO of Rhythm Systems, I'm excited to pick your brain on your own journey, on what made you transition to now working with a variety of CEOs rather than be a company builder, and some of the things that you've learned working with CEOs on things that we can all take into account. I just mentioned to you my own new journey, so I'm excited to write down notes for myself as well over these 20 minutes. And so Patrick, again, thank you for being here.
Yeah. So a little bit about myself. I'm actually an engineer, so I have a technical background. I went to work for Oracle Corporation straight out of school. And when I finished at Cornell, I went to Oracle and I joined the consulting unit. So back in those days, 1988, consulting was building software for clients, so custom software for big enterprise systems. And in 91, I started my firm, Medicines, and we focused on transportation and logistics software. Grew that successfully, Inc. 500, as you mentioned before, and I sold it after 7 years. Now, along the way, I would say that we had a number of near-death experiences, like the company almost failed a number of times. From the outside looking in, the company looked very successful. From the inside looking out, there was a lot of fear and concern. So that was my own personal journey where I feel like I was fortunate enough to have problems, but solve them before I got squashed and I succeeded. I'm a serial entrepreneur. This is my fourth company that I'm doing. And what I learned in my first one gave me a passion to help people, help CEOs, entrepreneurs succeed. And what I experienced is that the rate of success of CEO entrepreneurs is actually very low. It's pretty hard to succeed in the space that we're in. And so I developed a passion, partly because of my own, like I said, almost failures a number of times to really help people succeed. And that's what I do today. Today, Rhythm Systems, we have a methodology to help you succeed. We have software to record your goals and your priorities and how you can make your commitments. And then we have a coaching consulting practice that helps you put it all together. So that's kind of what we do today.
So being a CEO is it's kind of time consuming, right? You have a lot of fires to put out. You have constantly things to do, very little sleep. How do you reason through coaching these systemic things that you're offering? How does this play into the lifestyle of a CEO where the traditional response always is, I don't have time?
Yeah. So it's a paradox. It's a paradox. And the irony is that oftentimes you don't have time, but you've got to make time for some things where I would suggest, you go slower a little bit so it can go faster. And so what we really help people do is we want to put in a rhythm for you. And just like breathing, just like you don't have to think about breathing. Your body activates your breathing automatically. You don't have to think, oh, time to take a breath, right? So likewise, if we put a framework into your company that gives you a rhythm to think about your problems, a rhythm to plan, a rhythm to actually do the work, then you have a framework and a system to process the chaos that's around you as an entrepreneur. One of our clients, CEO of Avid Exchange, they went public back in October, Michael Prager. We actually coached him. I coached him for about 22 years from the very start to where he is today. And what he would say, he wrote the foreword for my book, Rhythm, which is a Wall Street Journal best-selling book right now. And he wrote the foreword. He said in the book that rhythm gives him a system, a framework to process the chaos that's around him. So today, Avid Exchange has, almost 2,000 employees. They're a public company on the NASDAQ Stock Exchange, and there's still chaos. You will always have chaos. The question is, can you manage your chaos so that you don't get a crisis? Can you manage the chaos? Can you thrive on the chaos versus your chaos becoming a crisis?
Wow, the very chaos becoming a crisis. I love that. And so, take me back to when you just started working with the first CEOs, as you made that first transition from company builder to CEO ally. What was that like for you? Those really early days.
In the early days, I didn't do this because I wanted to start a business. I did it only because I was trying to help people. So when I sold medicines back in 1998, I wanted to give back to my community. So here in Charlotte, I co-started Entrepreneurs Organization for Charlotte. And it was a branch of EO. In the old days, it used to be called YEO, Young Entrepreneurs Organization. Now it's called EO because I guess we all got old, so we just dropped the Y. It was Entrepreneurs Organization. And that was my way of giving back. So I started EO here in Charlotte, and lots of people asked me for help. So they asked me to help them. And at first, I did it just to help them. And then I began to realize the following. Number one, the mistakes I had made were not uncommon. In fact, I thought I was stupid, but you know what? A lot of people made the same mistakes as me. Some of my friends made even worse mistakes than me. So I really just wanted to help them at first. And in fact, I was starting to run another business. I had another startup I created. It was only about 5-6 years later, 2005, that I realized my true calling was to help CEOs not fail, but to succeed. I tell you, when you figure out your true calling, I just wish that everybody figures it out younger in life, So I was very lucky. I mean, I figured it out, in my, I guess around 40 years of age, what I was really passionate about and how I could help people.
What does that feel like though? When you're saying figure out the calling, what does that take me through the feelings that you have when you discover that?
So when you figure out your calling, it's indescribable. It's that je ne sais quoi, something special that you're doing the right thing. And I always like to say that, when you're doing what you love to do, it's not work. And when people pay you for what you love to do, that's awesome. So that's the spot I found myself in. And I'm a knowledge seeker. I don't have a business degree. I'm a hack. I'm a life hacker and a business hacker. So I've learned through my own experiences. I've burnt my hands many times, and I've got thousands of patterns that I've observed of different companies. Over the last, 20 years, I've done workshops and coaching sessions in Asia, in Europe, and in the US. All over the world. We have clients, actually, in my company, we have clients in all 5 continents in this world. So we see a lot of patterns, a lot of challenges, and it's great. You asked the question of how does it feel? I will tell you that if you can wake up every morning knowing that you're doing what you're called to do, it gives you this great enjoyment of purpose. Not just a sense of purpose, but a real enjoyment of purpose. So work has never worked for me. I fall in love with my clients. If I don't fall in love with you, I probably won't take you as a client.
I love it. That's really, really cool. And so what's this process of falling in love with your clients like? How do you take this? How do you even start such an engagement where you get to know whether this is a person that you're going to spend now 20 something years coaching?
I would say the following. I would say, first, let me tell you a story about a mentor of mine that unfortunately years ago passed away from cancer. But he was my coach. And when Richard was in his 50s, he called me up and he's about 15 years older than me. So he was in his 50s and he said, Patrick, I'm doing my last gig now and I figured it out. He said, I figured out that I only want to work with people I love to work with. I don't need any other reason not to hire you if I don't like you. So he said, Patrick, I really figured out. So I need you to come work for me. I was stunned. I said, dude, I'm running my own company. I'm not going to come work for you. He said, no, you don't understand. You are going to come work for me at some point because you're one of those people I love to work with. You got to come work for me. I said, okay, calm down, Richard. So, unfortunately, a few years later, he was diagnosed with brain cancer and he fought a good fight, but a couple of years later, he passed away. So he didn't live. He didn't get the 10 years because he told me, he said, Patrick, I'm going to work. This is my last gig. I'm going to give it everything I got, 10 years more. And I'm going to finally retire from doing businesses and I'm going to go to something else. So Richard didn't have the 10 years that he thought he had to work. In fact, he had less than that to work and to live. So it really touched me deeply. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to decide right now that I'm only going to work with people that I love. That's it. I don't need a reason other than I have limited time on God's green earth and I want every moment to matter. If I coached you and I don't care deeply about you, I can't give you my best. So it's not a selfish thing, Michael. It's more like if I really care deeply about you, I will give you my best and then some, right? And if I care deeply about you, I'll be vulnerable. I'll be willing and able to share some things with you that I may not be able to share if I can't give myself fully to you. So how do I figure out if I'm going to help somebody? Well, number one is, do I even like the person? Like sometimes you just can't figure it out. Some people like each other and some people don't. It's called chemistry. So number one, do I have chemistry? Number two, is the person I'm going to work with coachable? I've looked at a number of people that weren't that coachable. They thought they were, but they weren't that coachable. So are you going to be coachable? And then is there a connection? Can we build that basis of trust where we would enjoy this walk together? So, and then the last piece I would say is, can I give you value? If I don't feel that I can give you value or help you solve your problems, I'm gonna take a pass. And so I can't solve every single problem, but if I feel like I can give you value, then we have something to talk about. Otherwise, I'm gonna take a pass.
And then what does an engagement look like once you do decide to marry somebody and say, okay, we're in, this is a match, this is going to be a good journey together. How does this journey look like?
So usually our clients, I typically help CEOs of mid-sized companies. So these are companies that are typically 20 million to a few hundred million in size. And these are companies that have reached what I call a sense that they've hit the ceiling of complexity, okay? Where suddenly things got more difficult, and life suddenly got a lot more complicated. So typically what happens is that we meet each other. They usually our business is highly referral based. They first decide that they like the methodology that we have. And there are lots of methods out there. Of course, I believe mine is the best, but there are lots of methods out there. So they've got to first of all decide that they're going to use my methodology. And then they're going to use my software for documenting the goals and the discipline that their companies need. Because what I do is I do coaching for CEOs in a company, right? I don't do life coaching, that kind of stuff. I do business coaching and CEO leadership development for the CEO and to make the company more successful, more effective for the CEO. And so we have the system, we have the software, and then we typically would do planning sessions for the company. It's usually a quarterly rhythm. That's part of our methodology. And then the CEO will spend a couple of hours every month with me one-on-one. We'll take our virtual walks, and discuss any challenges or any opportunities that CEO would like to discuss. So I would say that oftentimes, in the coaching part of the engagement, I am much more like a mirror, a reflector to allow the CEO to kind of share their concerns, their opportunities, get excited. So I have different roles for different occasions, right? Sometimes I got to be the cheerleader to help them have the confidence to go conquer what mountain she or he's about to conquer. Sometimes I got to be the ass kicker. Sometimes it's got to be, look, you're committed to doing something and you didn't get it done. Dude, I'm sorry. I got to kick your ass. You got to get it done. So, because I tell you, companies often fail because of a lack of ability to execute and do the commitments that they've set. Commitments to their customers, commitments to their employees, to their shareholders, to their suppliers and partners. So a company that cannot execute as a company is going to fail. And lots of times they blame the strategy, but most of the time I think, the usual suspect is strategy, but usually the villain is poor execution.
Right. It sounds incredible, and I have so many more questions about your coaching, and it sounds like you're so committed and you're so devoted to the success of your partners and the CEOs that you're allied with, and it's really inspiring and it's really amazing. But I want to make sure in the few short minutes we have left, I want to hear a little bit about your passion for Samaritans' feet. It's in your fun fact, and I got a chance to check it out a little bit, and I wanted to hear from your words a little bit about what it's about and why this is something that you're particularly excited about.
Samaritans' Feet is a nonprofit, and what Manny Ahumi is doing with his team is to put shoes on millions of children. So about 15 years ago or 17 years ago, we got together, and Manny and I go way back. Manny, I recruited Manny to Medicis out of school. So I've known Manny a long time. And after I sold Medicis, I went on to do other things. And a few years later, he called me and said, Patrick, I'm starting Samaritans' Feet. I've got this vision from God to save children by giving them shoes. And I said, why shoes? So this is more his story than mine, but he's from Nigeria, and a missionary gave him a pair of shoes, and he became a basketball player, came to the U.S. on a basketball scholarship, and is successful today. He shared with me that, look, Patrick, I want to go back to Nigeria. I want to go back to Africa. I want to put shoes on kids because kids there have no shoes, and no shoes means they can't go to school. No shoes means that lots of diseases kind of go through the soles of the feet. And for some children, they die because of that. And so that was his passion. So we talked about how do we frame all this, and we created his first big, hairy, audacious goal, his first long-term goal, which is to put 10 million shoes on 10 million kids around the world.
Wow.
And so that was a long time ago. I tell you what, Samaritans' Feet today, I don't know how many countries they're in already, but they've crossed the 9 million mark. They're like 9.5
wow.
million shoes right now. So we're hoping, praying that next year we'll hit the 10 million mark for putting shoes on people around the world. So that is
just unbelievable.
That's a heart mission.
Unbelievable. I can only imagine following this closely and being part of it from the get-go. Must be quite a journey, isn't it?
And I tell you, the one thing that's amazing about Samaritans' Feet, the process is that we actually first wash their feet. So imagine this. Imagine you've been, you don't have shoes, so your feet are terribly dirty and broken and everything. And we wash your feet. We dry it, and then we put socks on, put shoes on. And the act of washing your feet, that is the receiver really feels the love from someone when we go through that act, and it's beautiful.
Unbelievable, amazing, just as inspiring as your journey into coaching. I'd like you to leave me and whoever's listening with perhaps something that any of us can take away, whether we're CEOs, whether we're just leaders in our own life. I firmly believe everybody's a leader. It's part of also the mantra of this show. We're leading different things, whether it be ourselves or others. What is something about leadership, about management that you've learned and experienced over the last few decades that you're saying, okay, this is something that, if everybody in the world grasped, perhaps we'd be in a better place, or every person would augment their own life through this fundamental understanding?
Well, that's a tough question. I would. There are a few things that popping into my mind right now. I would say I would like to share two things if I can. The first is that I would suggest that everyone should be the best version of yourself. Like figure out who can help you to be the best version of yourself. Lots of times we meet someone and we're so inspired. We want to be like them. I would suggest that maybe you don't want to be like being like them is fine, but don't try to be a copy of them, right? Take what you can learn from them, their patterns, and create the best version of yourself. And the only other thing I would say is that I think that most problems can be solved with the right people conversation. So I have this thing called spicy conversations. Spicy conversations, hot conversations, the conversations you don't really want to have because they're too difficult. And if you don't have those conversations, you create a 7-ton elephant later. You know, all 7-ton elephants were born as small little baby elephants. So when people say, how do you eat an elephant? And people say one bite at a time, I'd say, no, let's have the spicy conversation. Let's eat the baby elephant, right? Eat the baby elephant. And then it doesn't become a big ton elephant. So if you just try to be the best version of yourself and focus on making sure you're having those real conversations with the people around you, I think you'll be a great leader.
Incredible. Patrick, I'm so thankful for your time and for your energy. You left me very inspired from these 20 minutes. So I really appreciate every minute of it. And I look forward to keeping in touch over the next while with my journey as well. And so thank you very much for everything that you shared over these 20 minutes. And it was really, really great. Thank you.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.